Hey guys, in today's video, I will be now talking about officially Tropical Storm Josephine. Tropical Depression 11 has officially formed into Tropical Storm Josephine as of the newest 11 a.m. advisory. It has sustained winds now of 45 miles per hour, pressure is down to 1,005 millibars, and it is moving west-northwest at 15 miles per hour. Now, the newest forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center has it sustaining tropical storm strength up until it starts to curve more towards the north in between Bermuda and the East Coast. And then as it's doing so, it looks to, as of right now, forecast to weaken back down to a tropical depression. Now, that all depends of how it interacts with the wind shear, because from what it looks like right now, the dry air has weakened a lot. There's actually a lot less dry air that this system will have to battle, and the wind shear, it looks like it could actually fend off the wind shear, and some parts of that stronger wind shear could be a bit weaker as it's heading through. So it's a new kind of scenario could have it going through the dry air, whatever dry air and wind shear is there, and sustaining itself and not being torn apart by them because of the fact that they might be a good bit weaker than originally expected. So that, in turn, could have the system sustain itself, keep it as a tropical storm, and then maybe it could continue west a little farther and then curve north, having the East Coast potentially have more of a threat towards the East Coast, which could happen. And even if it does potentially curve to the north around like this time that the NHC is forecasting currently, around going through Monday and Tuesday, what could happen is that it could just start drifting closer towards the East Coast, impact the East Coast anyway. Really, just in general, it really just depends on whatever wind shear and dry air is left that the system has to go through as it heads close towards the Northern Windward Islands and Puerto Rico. So that's really the biggest thing right now that is the biggest question mark for the system, whether or not it will sustain itself as it starts to head farther towards the north and west, or it will begin to weaken a lot after that point, after Sunday, Monday. Now, let's go to tropical tidbits, and let's look at the satellite imagery for Josephine. And the thing about this system is that it has strengthened a lot, especially overnight through now. And it strengthened enough to where it officially became a tropical storm. This is now the earliest 10th named storm on record, beating Tropical Storm Jose of 2005. So now we've had in a row the earliest 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th named storms on record, which is incredible. And I do expect that to continue as we head forward through the rest of August and into September, especially since we're moving into a much more favorable environment, because the new Kelvin wave is starting to move into the Atlantic, and we'll just be over the Atlantic for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So here you can, as you can see, the hurricane models are pretty much split 50-50. It could go a little further south and continue towards the north and west, or it could just curve north as currently forecast and just go out to sea. So we'll really just have to see what will happen, especially what of course will really determine this is what it does while going through that wind shear and dry air as it gets closer towards the Windward Islands and Puerto Rico. So that's something we're really going to have to watch. The intensity model guidance has it continuing to strengthen from this point moving forward over the next 36 to 48 hours, becoming a moderate to strong tropical storm. And then it could weaken a bit as it starts to interact with that wind shear and dry air. And then they have a weakening back down towards a weak to moderate tropical storm, but then it could sustain tropical storm status, as I was just saying, and then could start to strengthen again as we head farther out in time towards 120, 132 hours out from now. That of course definitely remains to be seen. We don't fully know at all about what's going to happen by that point yet, but that's something we'll have to really watch out for. But of course, for right now, we're just going to see what it does with that wind shear and dry air that it will be heading through over the next day or two. Now I want to show you what I was just talking about with the current Kelvin wave that is coming through. Now here we go to the current thing. We got to use the earlier model, the 000 run. But you can see this is from today through August 20th. From August 13th through August 20th, the Kelvin wave is getting into the Atlantic now, making it a lot more conducive for development, letting tropical activity really increase. And then you can see between August 20th and 27th, it's still green, still lets the Atlantic go crazy with whatever development could happen. And then even going into between August 27th and September 3rd, still green over the Atlantic basin. So really, from now through the first few days of September, it looks like all signals are go for the potential of extreme amounts of tropical activity. I think that just like 2005, the K name, this year it's Kyle. 2005 is Katrina, of course. Everyone remembers that. This year, the K name is Kyle, and I think Kyle will start the train of lots of strong and just repetitive storms. We'll just get a lot of storms. Once we get Kyle, I think we'll start to get a lot more activity. The activity will really increase partially because of this, and because of this, the wind shear and dry air won't be too much of an issue for systems. Plus, there's, of course, all that extremely warm sea surface temperatures, which is like the tropical system's main fuel to be able to strengthen. So that's a look at why I think going forward over the next few weeks, it's just going to go crazy in the Atlantic. All right, now let's go back to talking about Josephine, and we'll go to the Western Atlantic, and we'll go to MSLP and precip. Move this forward, bring this back. Gotta let this load. Sorry about this. It's quite slow. There we go. All right. As we move this forward, you can see there's Josephine there on your very right-hand part of the screen. You can see the GFS has it moving towards the north and west, going north of the Windward Islands of Puerto Rico, and just weakening really entirely. I think the GFS is underplaying this a good bit. I think it could sustain itself decently, even though it's going to go through the wind shear and dry air. I don't think the wind shear and dry air will just totally break it up, and then it'll just go out to sea. I think it will sustain itself and maybe continue west a little farther. Wow. You guys probably heard that. There's a very strong stationary thunderstorm front sitting right over me. That was extremely loud thunder. Just shook the attic that I'm in right now. Jesus. Anyway, sorry about that. I think the GFS is underplaying this a good bit. I think the system will sustain itself enough to where it could continue west a little farther and then turn towards the north. Of course, we'll just have to see if that happens and when it's really just when it potentially will curve more just towards the north. Here's the CMC model. You can see the CMC. We gotta let this load. CMC model generally shows the same thing that the GFS is showing. Though it does, I think, have it maybe slightly better organized, but barely, as it's heading farther towards the north and west, and then to the north, it's going north of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola and the Windward Islands. But, I think the models are still pretty underplaying this a good bit. This is what the ECMWF, the European model, is showing for the system. You can see there's that vorticity shown for the system. It's decent, and then Euro also breaks it up and has it just dissipate entirely. But again, I think this could really sustain itself just enough to be able to go through the dry air and wind shear and be able to still be a tropical storm, maybe go back to a tropical depression briefly, and then go back to a tropical storm and continue towards Bermuda and the East Coast. Now, something I want to bring up. I think this year will be a lot like the 1893 Atlantic hurricane season. I think, and I don't think any of you know about this season. I think that 1893 Atlantic hurricane season is the best hurricane season analog to use to compare to the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, because here's the overall map of all the systems. You can see the East Coast, just like what we've seen this year thus far, has been the hot spot for tropical activity, and then we also had some Gulf activity and Caribbean activity. But you can see a bunch of systems, like we've seen, especially over the past few weeks, past month, a lot of systems formed the MDR and then kind of just moved farther towards the north and west and got to the East Coast and impacted the East Coast. So, again, I think this is the best analog to compare to this year's hurricane season. Though this year's hurricane season will be like the 1893 hurricane season, just a lot more active and a lot more intense. That's just the difference between them. But that's what we've all expected for this year anyway. So that's not too much of a surprise to any of us. But as you can see, actually, for the 1893 hurricane season, Atlantic hurricane season, there was this one storm down here that did pretty much exactly like the Hurricane Maria in 2017, just like a Hurricane Maria track, going right over Puerto Rico, just to the north of Hispaniola, and then curving up towards the East Coast, and then out to sea. And then there's this track that was pretty much the exact track that Hurricane Lorenzo of last year took. Now, of course, this system was a lot weaker, and Lorenzo became a Category 5, but the track was pretty much identical between Hurricane Lorenzo last year and this system. So that was very interesting to take note of. I actually found this out with my friend yesterday as we were talking over Discord. That was very fascinating to see. And the stats for the 1893 hurricane season, it had a total of 12 total depressions, which all of them became named storms. So there was 12 total depressions, 12 total storms, 10 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes. That would put it at around just about an average season, putting it all together. So that's very, very fascinating. Now let's go to the 2020 Atlantic hurricane seasons page on Wikipedia. And up to this point, we have 11 total depressions, 10 total storms, because that's been updated now that Josephine has become an official named storm, and we still have 2 hurricanes. We're still at somewhere above $5.975 billion in damage, so around $6 billion in total damage so far this season, which is incredible. And that's due to the fact that Isaias caused somewhere around $4.2 billion in damage. So, I mean, that was crazy. That was a truly crazy storm. Anyway, so we've had Josephine. It's become our record earliest 10th named storm, and now we've had in a row pretty much 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th named storms. So, and I think that will continue moving forward, especially over the next few weeks. So we'll have to look out for that. Again, Kyle is the next name on the list, and I think Kyle will be the name to start off the massive amount of activity we will see over the next few weeks. Now, of course, it'll remain to be seen on when potentially Kyle could form, because Kyle does have the potential to become also the record earliest 11th named storm in record, beating Katrina of 2005. But still, depending on when Kyle will form, I think we'll see another 3 named storms in August before we enter September. And then I think between now and just between now and the beginning of September, the first, let's say between now and the first week or two of September, I think we'll see 5, 6 named storms. And then, even though it looks like currently September will be going back into a sinking air motion for the Kelvin wave, that really won't do anything because we would already be at peak climatology officially. So we'll see a bunch of activity after that first couple weeks of September. So September does look like it will generally be still a pretty active month, and we'll most likely have the most activity we'll see for the season. So that's it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. And again, please consider liking and subscribing and commenting below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.